Once upon a time in feudal Japan, nestled in the misty valleys between great green mountains, there stood a humble Zen monastery. In that monastery lived two monks, Tanzan, the elder, warm-hearted and full of laughter, and Ekido, the younger, devoted, serious, and determined to live according to every rule laid out in their monastic code. The monastery had a strict code of conduct. Monks were forbidden from touching women. This wasn't out of disrespect, but to maintain clarity of mind and purity of purpose. Ekido, having only recently taken his vows, followed every rule to the letter. He believed that discipline was the key to enlightenment. One day, the two monks were sent on a journey to a neighboring province. It had rained heavily the night before, and the narrow dirt roads had turned to mud. Rivers overflowed, bridges creaked dangerously, and their sandals squished in the muck with every step. As they approached a small village, they came upon a crossroads where a beautiful young woman in a silk kimono stood beside a raging stream. She was clearly distressed, unable to cross the waters without ruining her gown or risking injury. She looked around helplessly. Tanzan did not hesitate. He smiled, stepped into the water, and gestured to the woman. "Come, I'll carry you across," he said warmly. The woman, surprised and grateful, climbed onto his back. Tanzan carried her gently across the stream. Once they reached the other side, she bowed low, thanked him profusely, and disappeared down the path. Ekido said nothing. The two monks continued walking. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 3. By the 4th hour, Ekido could no longer keep silent. His voice was tense, almost trembling. "Brother, we are monks. We are forbidden from touching women. How could you carry her on your back?" Tanzan turned to him and laughed gently. "Brother, I set her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Ekido stopped in his tracks. He realized something in that moment. Something deep. Something that didn't just shake his mind, but his soul. You see, Tanzan had helped the woman in a moment of need and moved on without attachment. But Ekido, despite never touching her, had been burdened by judgment, by rules, by resentment, and by his own rigidity. He had been carrying the weight of that moment for hours, a moment that had long passed. And so, dear listener, this is not just a story about two monks and a woman. This is a story about you and me. How often do we carry burdens long after the moment has passed? How many times have we replayed a conversation in our heads, resented a person for what they said, judged ourselves for what we did or didn't do? How many emotional weights do we carry on our backs long after the river has been crossed? Sometimes, the heaviest thing we carry isn't a person or a bag. It's a memory, a regret, a grudge, or an expectation. In the West, we pride ourselves on independence, on pushing through, on working harder. But we're not taught enough about letting go. We are taught to accumulate knowledge, status, wealth. But what about learning to release? Letting go is not weakness. It's strength in its most mature form. Tanzan let go, not just of the rules in that moment, but of the moment itself. He acted with compassion, then moved on. That is the essence of presence, of mindfulness. Ekido was trapped in the past, and he didn't even know it, until the moment his teacher's words struck him like lightning. And maybe, just maybe, that's what this story is meant to do for you. To strike like lightning. To remind you that the past is already gone, and your grip on it is the only reason it still hurts. So ask yourself, what are you still carrying? A conversation that ended badly? A betrayal? Your own guilt? What would it feel like to set it down? Breathe. Feel your shoulders. They've been holding too much for too long. This story isn't just for monks. It's for anyone who's ever walked through life with a weight that wasn't theirs to bear anymore. And maybe today, you can take one small step closer to letting go.